What's up, my fellow lionesses and lions? Welcome to the Project Lioness podcast, where we are here to disrupt the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, holism, and human consciousness. We are here to share bold truths about health and life from a female perspective. This episode is brought to you by our team, Inspire Co., where we stand for your health being inspired by choice rather than being inhibited by chance. Thank you for being here and joining in on these raw, real, and powerful conversations. We hope our show brings you inspiration and empowerment to overcome challenges, reclaim your life, and ultimately pursue your mission with power, purpose, and play. Now, let's get into the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Project Lioness podcast. This is your host, Dr. Mel, and today I am joined by one of our amazing guests. You know who she is. Dr. Aryn.
Hello, everybody.
Is in the house. It's been a minute since we've come on together.
It has been a minute.
Yeah. Happy 2025.
Happy 2025.
So today, in this episode, we are going to talk all about philosophy. This is not going to, for you chiropractors to listen to this, I promise it's going to be not your average philosophical conversation you probably, or maybe didn't have in chiropractic school. But Aryn and I, when we have our team meetings and we're jamming together in the office, we often think about topics to share with you all. And one thing that we were talking about was, and something we notice is as people start to experience different results in the office, they start to grow and evolve. There's often this critical point where people are called into making a shift, not just in their behaviors and your actions, but your beliefs and your philosophies and your paradigms about health and healing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Anything you want to add or share? Aryn's married, you guys.
I'm married now. Woohoo. Yeah. And I think we both have had our own journey with that philosophical shift as well. So speaking as those who have moved through it, and then we get to watch and guide people move through it too. So hopefully this episode is super helpful for you guys and offers, if you're interested in that paradigm shift, offers an opportunity to kind of slide through it a little bit more effortlessly.
And where this idea came from me, because we work on y'all or people who we see at Immersions, and then we debrief and say what's really going on here, which is great. We get to learn as practitioners and doctors of what we learned in school. This case is completely presenting differently, or things are happening that you don't really learn in school. And we thought it would be valuable to share with you all from the doctor's lens, things that we have noticed can be really helpful, and where this idea, at least for me, came from to bring to the conversation and invite Dr. Aryn on is I was talking with a practice member, and I don't know if she listens to this podcast, but she was going through some really intense stuff, like symptomatology that was so intense that was putting her in the ER. And she made some really radical decisions, made some changes from that experience, because pain has a purpose, you guys. Your body's always working for you, not against you, even though it may not always feel that way. And there was a moment in her session where he said, because I could tell she still had some anxiety and fear and I don't know if this is right, whatever, just a lot of uncertainty. And I said, do you believe and know that your body can heal? Do you actually know that? Do you believe that? And we'll share with you all, you don't have to believe for it to happen, but I think it is important. The biology of belief is huge. And she said, honestly, not really. And I said, that alone, the knowing that the body can heal and that nature is an ever evolving organism that's moving towards wholeness and order, that alone can be a critical ingredient in your wholeness journey. Because you could be doing all the right things and taking all the supplements and going to these chiropractors, but if you don't inherently know and accept the paradigm shift that your body was designed to heal, I think you only get a fraction of results. And I'm curious about how that lands for you, because you just reread Biology of Belief, or read it.
Yeah, I just read all the way through Biology of Belief. I followed Dr. Bruce Lipton's work for so long, and it really takes like the notion that one, genetics don't necessarily change or decide your biology, but your beliefs and your paradigms actually do shape the genetic makeup of who you are. And simultaneously, like what I teach on a lot is like you cannot be in a state of protection and growth simultaneously. Your body's either trying to heal and protect yourself, you could call that the fight or flight response, or you're striving towards growth and expansion and change, but you can't be there at the same time.
Right. Right. And what Dr. Aryn is talking about, y'all, I read biology belief when I was in chiropractic school, and I was like, biology and belief, that seems like two opposing beliefs in one sentence. And if you haven't studied Bruce Lipton's work, Dr. Bruce Lipton, he is amazing. He actually has most of his book in lecture format on YouTube. And I would like consume those like crazy because he breaks down what Dr. Aryn is saying is he breaks down how belief, like when we shift our paradigm of belief of like, I can heal, my body's amazing. You guys hear us say this after your sessions, especially to kids, like, yeah, your body's awesome. Like your body's doing what it was designed to do. He breaks down biochemically what happens in the cellular structure epigenetically when you hold different beliefs, like my body's broken, or it's not designed to do this, versus understanding what we're talking about, that you can heal, that your body is whole, that your body is working for you, and how that can actually accelerate the wholeness process on a cellular level. He breaks it down. It's absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So you finished the book?
I did finish it. Yes. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Does he have like a part 2? I know. Does he have other books?
I mean, he has other books.
Okay.
And he just has so much like content out there that you can find him. Because I had to have been still in undergrad probably before even going to chiropractic school when I learned about his work. So he's kind of been in like my field for a while.
Yeah. He's still alive, isn't he? Mm-hmm. He's getting up there.
Yeah. He's cute. His personality shines. Dr. Bruce Lipton, if you ever see this.
Yeah. Bruce, what up, Bruce?
I told my husband, I was like, I would love for him to be my grandfather.
Dude, right?
There's just so much wisdom there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he does a really good job breaking it down. And I love, his ability to make the complex really simple, but also not forget that you're not just a piece of meat. You have beliefs and there's energy that does influence your genetics, right? It influences your genetic code. And so when we invite people into the office, that's something that as you go through care and your curriculum with us, we're not only helping your body do what it was designed to do and removing the interference, but really teaching you how to not only adopt certain behaviors and actions and lifestyle factors, but shifting your perception of how you orient on the planet, shifting your perception of your literal philosophy of life. Because, a lot of people think, the philosophy of healing, the philosophy of chiropractic and the philosophy of healing and health is actually the philosophy of life, believe it or not. And how life actually works, how chemistry actually works, the chemistry of life. That's another mentor of ours, Dr. Reggie Gold. He's not alive anymore, but similar concept. Like you were designed to do this, and you can get results if you don't necessarily believe that. But when you actually lean into the knowing of it and trusting of it, I think it does catalyze change. And people say, that's the placebo effect. Well, y'all, the placebo effect is a real thing. Like we should just have a different, it's like spontaneous, doesn't he call it spontaneous healing?
Probably, yeah. And he dives into the whole placebo effect.
Yeah.
Which is the power of belief. At the same time. I love it when we start educating people, like you are actually your own best doctor at the end of the day. Like you have everything that you need in order to heal. You just need to be reminded of it.
Yep.
And that's really what we're here to do is to guide you in that remembrance.
Yeah. Well said. I think when you move through life and you've been told these programs, and it can be challenging when we live, at least in America. I know people have listened to this internationally. It can be challenging in America when so much of the marketing and the conditioning and the Western, more pathological paradigm is you get this belief that your body's broken and that in order to heal, there's an external power that is required in your life. and that you weren't designed to do that, and you need external forces in order to make that happen. And I'm not saying this is right, wrong, good, bad. You guys know we're not about bashing like medicine. That's just one paradigm, which you could call more pathogenesis, meaning pathogenesis studies the like how disease is created, how pathology is birthed from, tissues and things like that, even in nature, versus what Dr. Aryn and I are speaking to. So if you think of this as like your umbrella, right? You've got this belief paradigm over here, and then you've got this belief paradigm over here, which is salutogenesis, which salud means life. Like when people cheers in Latin America, like salud, it means health, life, too good health. Salutogenesis is the study of what creates health, what creates wholeness. And when you really start to step into that paradigm, you actually realize that what you perceive as dis-ease or symptoms is actually an intelligent process that your body is creating to get you to wake up and realize like that dis-ease process is actually part of the healing process. It's not even anything good, bad, right, wrong. It's part of the process. And I think, again, what Dr. Aryn and I have noticed over the years of working with people is the people who really like have that deep knowing and choose to adopt the salutogenesis, their whole life transforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you start to build a little bit more trust with what's happening in your body and actually listening to the whispers, ideally.
Yeah.
I loved it in our philosophy class because that's what we got to have in chiropractic school.
In her chiropractic
in
school.
my
Mine was not like
school.
that. I was more studying pathology and Aryn studying salutology. Salutology.
But one thing that we talk about is that pain itself is the last thing that actually surfaces when things are quote unquote like diseased, right? When there's not full health in the body, pain is the last thing to show up, which means there's a whole myriad, a whole tier of other things that are actually happening in your body before that final siren takes off.
Right. I think, we definitely talked about that, not as in depth as you guys did, because Aryn went to a school that had, I would say, more curriculum in salutogenesis. Ours was very pathologically oriented in how to treat disease. You all will also notice that we tend to steer away from saying the word like treatment when you come in. We say table session, adjustment, entrainment, because we're not here to, again, treat your stuff, because the more you chase symptoms, you're not actually working with the core, which is the whole human. And so what we're focusing on is, from the salutogenic paradigm, how do we focus on building health and adaptability and ease from the inside out, so that, again, as we help support that removal of interference, as your body does beautifully on its own, when we give it the right ingredients, it can naturally start to create health. And the dis-ease state, I want to say it doesn't go away, but it transforms into more ease. So when you can fill up your body, your life with things that create salutogenesis, things that create health, there's just less room for the, you've got your lifespan and then your disease span. Mm-hmm. And one of my mentors, to piggyback off what I'm saying, they were saying, dis-ease is inevitable. Like, it's going to happen. Your tissues break down. There's a law in chiropractic, the 33 principles of the limitations of matter, right? We're not meant to live forever, even though the culture is trying to make that happen. Like, anti-aging is the hot topic right now, but we're going to break down eventually. And so the goal is like, how do we increase your salutogenic timeline? How do we increase your lifespan, where like your body expresses life more than it is expressing dis-ease or death? And your cells are also dying every day. So people forget that your body is creating things to let it die off, and just as much as it's creating life. But I think we can get addicted to like one side.
Oh, absolutely. And I think on like not a specific state, but more of a conceptual state, like we're constantly contracting and expanding. Your cells are constantly dying off. Like, the patterns in your life are dying off too, so you can expand and grow into something more. Yeah. And so I think what we also teach on is like, pain is never necessarily going away. It's just going to change form.
Yeah.
And ideally, it's changing form in a way that's in alignment with you and your values and your mission on this planet and like how you actually want to show up, and not because you're avoiding the pain.
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of people get into the stuckness and oftentimes show up in our practice by then because they've tried so many things and nothing's working and they just don't know which direction to go, and it sucks.
Right.
It is probably one of the, not the most painful pain, but it's the pain that causes you to take action.
Soul pain.
It's, yeah. I mean, soul pain is the highest pain. And then you have the biological pain of my body's 100% breaking down.
Yeah. And it's against me.
And it's like, it's the suffering.
Yeah.
And it's because you've actually avoided that which is causing the pain.
Yeah. You make a good point. That reminds me of another quote or adage, which is like the masses, like mass consciousness tries to avoid or get rid of pain, whereas the masters know there's no avoiding it or getting rid of it. It simply transforms throughout life. And same with the concept of wellness and illness. You just choose to place chaos. I said this to my Inspire Business Alignment students the other day. I was like, choose where you want to put your chaos. Like, where do you want to embrace chaos? Where do you want to create chaos so that, or you can take what Aryn is saying, pain, and substitute chaos, challenge, whatever. But where do you want to put that, knowing like as a master, if you're here to master life and health and all that, that it's not going to go away. You just choose where it goes. For example, just before we recorded this, I was having mental pain because I got these really cool little Rode mics that are expensive
and very cute.
They're like white and whatever. And I was like, this is going to sound great because my other Bluetooth ones died when we record these podcasts. So maybe Joe doesn't have to sync up the audio and video as much. And, you know, they weren't fucking working. And Aryn's like, maybe they're just dead. And sure enough, one of them was fucking dead. So I'm like, okay, this isn't as hard as I need it to be, but teaching and like showing up and speaking is in my values. So I choose to put challenges in those areas of my life so that my body doesn't have to create it. And I think that's another piece that, you know, I want to speak to and then pass it back to Aryn is a lot of people their bodies are breaking down because it's a sign to say like, step up and be inspired in your life. No pun intended. And when you're inspired, you're going to deal with challenges. But if you're not, your body's going to give you the feedback loop of like, yo, you were here to do some amazing shit. Like whatever that is, being an amazing mom, a business owner, a grandma, an artist, like the people we see in the office, they're up to cool things, but you've got to pursue that. And the universe will definitely give you feedback loops to like stay on top of that.
When I was in high school, I was dealing with a lot of like my scoliosis pain.
Yeah.
Like I was having constant headaches, like my whole body would hurt, neck pain. I'm pretty sure if you were to touch my neck, it was like a brick wall, most likely.
Don't touch me.
Yeah. And I was an athlete, like I played basketball and volleyball. And so like lots of wear and tear, right, on my body. And so I would pop so many ibuprofens and Advils just to try to like subdue the pain. And then I reached a point where I was like, something's gotta give. Like my body's just going to continue like breaking down. Like this is not healthy for how many I have to take just to take the edge off. The pain never really went away. Yeah. And then I would get concussions or I would get other injuries. And that really felt like the universe being like, dude, wake up.
Yeah.
Like do something different. And so I did. I started to choose drinking more water, which sounds so stupid.
But a lot of people are dehydrated.
Most of us are dehydrated, especially with like the decreased minerals in your water, right?
Yeah, so it's like dead water.
Mm-hmm. And so like I just started making really small lifestyle shifts. And then my first adjustment wasn't until I was like 18 years old. But just making those changes, I was like, oh, like my health could look different.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to be in the state of pain forever. Like how about I actually get to the root cause of what's going on? And I actually started, I think I've shared this in a previous podcast. I wanted to be a pharmacist when I first went to undergrad because I had this philosophy that the body can heal itself if you give it the right ingredients, right? If you remove the interference, if you reduce the stress load on your body and actually understand like, what do I need in order to increase health rather than mask it? And so I went I was pursuing pharmacy because I wanted to educate people so badly that you don't need to be on XYZ medication. This is not medical advice by any means, but it's what's actually happening underneath the surface.
Yeah.
What's actually causing your need to be on these medications, and how can we understand like the root a little bit more? Because our society is so over medicated.
Yeah.
And there are other ways, right, to shift that paradigm. And I was experiencing it firsthand. That situation wasn't drastic by any means and not on like heart medications or anything like that. It was ibuprofen, right? But what could that have led to?
Yeah.
What other symptoms could I have caused? What other disease could I have caused my body if I didn't make that shift? And my chiropractor was like, hey, Aryn, you have the chiropractic philosophy. Like, hey, like your body can heal itself. Like, that's what you're saying. You should become a chiropractor.
Right.
And so, like, I had that philosophy before I even knew it was a chiropractic specific philosophy, which is just kind of funny.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the vessel in which you were wanting to express it just changed form, but you still had the philosophy before you turned it into the practicality.
Yeah.
As you said, the culture, I think, is over-medicated, over-educated from like the intellectual mind and under-connected. This lack of wisdom, a lot of information, but we've forgotten the wisdom of our bodies. Or I shouldn't say we've forgotten it. It's dormant.
Yeah.
How about that? It's dormant.
You have the innate intelligence and you have the like educated intelligence.
Yeah.
So it's like the innate of the body, like what the heck is your body telling you versus what is your mind telling you?
Yeah.
And there's this massive separation within our culture between the two.
Yeah.
And we've put the educated intelligence on a pedestal.
On a pedestal, for sure. What you said too about your journey of listening to the screams and feeling like you've done everything. We do see a lot of clients and practice members who come in where they're like, I feel like I've tried everything, and their mind and their body still gives them like, hey, don't give up. That I have found is a really powerful moment to say, hey, I know you've done all of these things. And I said this on the table yesterday because someone's like, well, what should I do? And I was like, there's nothing you should do. It's more of who you're becoming. And the process of becoming also includes an unbecoming, a shedding of layers. And part of those layers are not just in your body, y'all, but and emotions, but the ways of thinking and believing that have kept you in that current state or in that current system. And so what Aryn is speaking to, that I think many of you have experienced, or people who come into the office, is you feel like you've tried everything, but no one's asked you the question of like, so do you believe and know that your body can heal? Because here's the thing, and I don't want to make this black and white, but I think it at some point in your journey, it may become inevitable. If you don't believe and adopt this, you will forever be in the chase of someone trying to fix you. Honestly, like I've been in practice long enough and I feel confident to say that. Like I feel certain that people who know and sink into that, their, again, results amplified versus people when there's doubt and they haven't rewired that programming, they're still on this chase. They're still on this whack-a-mole game. So, you can choose how fast you want to adopt this, but at the end of the day, we're not saying this is a religion. It truly is a philosophy of how life works. And we've given you some people and mentors that I think are really cool books and people to listen to, where they break down the science more and more and more to bridge that gap between what can feel, I think, spiritual or ethereal to the practicality.
Yeah, absolutely. I also talk about like the feedback loops in the body too. I think once people start to create the sense of, mind-body connection within their being, those feedback loops, so maybe those whispers become louder because there's more clarity in there. And so what I like to offer people is lean into your intuition. Yeah. Like whatever surfaces in your mind's eye of like, maybe I want to try this. Maybe I remove this from my diet. Maybe I look at reducing my medication because my labs are coming back differently. Listen to those intuitive feedback loops that you are just naturally getting, because again, you are your own best doctor and you will get those messages when you actually clear up the pathways. And so we can't tell you what to do.
No.
Like, we don't know. The body's
don't.
gonna, the body is
We're doctors.
wild.
And
We can take a guess and offer guidance and offer, a myriad of different things. And simultaneously, like, you best.
Yep.
So listen to those threads, listen to the feedback loops, like what is surfacing, and just follow it.
Yeah, that's a really good tangible point that Dr. Aryn's speaking to, that we do see practice members step into. Like, you recently had a client who just booked like a girls trip and hasn't done that or ever done that, and just intuitively was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. You've had people who, they get the gunk out of the way, so to speak. We get energy moving, and then all of a sudden they choose to ask for a raise from their boss. They quit their job and start a business. They leave a relationship. They have the hard conversation with their partner. They set more boundaries with their kids. We have had a younger practice member where when she first came in, she couldn't even be in the open adjusting bay because of so much social anxiety and fear. And now she like sprints to the table, no problem, and doesn't need to go into a private room. And we were having a conversation. Hope you guys don't hear that cool car in the background. We were having a conversation with the dad, and he's like, yeah, this has been amazing for my kiddos. And, I was like, yeah, how cool is it that when she came in, this is where she was at, and then this is where she is. That had nothing to do with her back pain. Like, chiropractic, you guys, has nothing to do with back pain and everything to do with the expression of life. And this girl has gone from being scared and fearful in settings to like no problem being able to be who she is, which says her nervous system feels safe enough to actually be who she is, which is that remembering of who she's been all along, and she can relax into that. And that has, there's limitless outcomes that come from that in her life as she gets older. And I think you parents would probably resonate with that.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of my favorite things, just to like watch their own evolution, and then to have other people reflect back what they witness in the person's life, like shifting and changing too.
Say Aryn.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's a ripple effect.
It is. If Aryn sounds far away, it's because she moved away from the microphone. I listened back to not all the episodes, but I listened back to some, and I'm like, okay, I got to remind Aryn to talk into the microphone.
Make out with it.
Kind of, in a sense, yes. These are great microphones, but they're very directed. You got to be right in front of it.
I was also kind of judging myself because I'm like, I'm a doctor, but I don't know how to work this freaking microphone stand.
Well, you know this. We all have our zone of genius, and technology is not our zone of genius all the time. We like the inner technology, right? We'd like to optimize your inner technology so you can express your life to the fullest. Anything else you want to add with this episode?
If you love visuals, I also have another recommendation for books to look into. Yeah. Have you seen like the Messages in Water?
No. Is that a book?
It's a book.
Okay. Where the vibration?
The vibrations.
Yeah.
Or if you are speaking to water, like you could either verbally say words or be thinking words like you're beautiful versus you suck. The actual crystallization of the water when it freezes is vastly different.
Yeah.
Beautiful and intricate and complex versus like a really disgusting, distorted blob.
Yeah.
It's so cool to put into perspective how like the frequency and vibrations of your beliefs and the things that you think, say, and do actually have an effect on the physical matter.
It's true.
And I mean, we're all majority water. Yep. So if you can see that in like one crystallization, imagine what impact that makes in your whole entire being.
Yeah. There's a study, I think, out of Japan. It's many, many years old, but similar concept. I think they used the rice experiment. Oh. Some of you maybe have heard that, where same thing, they're talking to 3 different things of rice and water. One is like more loving, one is neutral, and one is like negative, to see the outcome of the vibration of tone and sound into the matter. So if you guys are wanting to explore this deeper, definitely check out what Dr. Aryn just mentioned, Dr. Bruce Lipton's work. And think about it this way too, as we wrap up. If you're a child and this child is in an environment, right? Because epigenetics is based on lifestyle factors and how the environment influences your genetic expression versus the other way around. If you're a child, or you imagine a child being in an environment where their parents are just yelling at them all the time and they're, screaming in the background, you can probably sense the posturing of that kid. You can probably sense even their well-being in that moment. Are they going to be more confident and upbeat, or are they going to be cowering and collapsing? And in that distortion of the body, that changes the tissues and how things are conducted biochemically and neurologically, which then, again, back to where we started, how that leads to more diseased states to essentially wake us up back to our wholeness. So even though sometimes trauma and wounding can be challenging to talk about, it can also be a catalyst and a gift to like shift your entire life.
That's like a huge portion for why I think my body developed scoliosis. And not that I'm going to get into the details of it, but being in certain situations where you're feeling pulled in different directions, my spine literally took on that form. And simultaneously, how grateful am I that it did that, because I wouldn't be sitting here today and being able to share my gifts in the world too. So everything serves, but having at least like a more full-bodied understanding of health and disease and how everything actually manifests, and especially at a subconscious level, like the things that you don't even think about just automatically happening, like all that is programmed between like 0 and 6 years old. So the environment that you grow up in has a huge impact on who you are today.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we just push it and sweep it under the rug because that was decades ago. Like, why does it matter? But it does. It really does.
It's in your body.
It's in your body.
History's in your biology, as I say.
Issues in the tissues.
And wisdom. I'm at, because a lot of people I know are into like, you know, Bessel van der Kolk's work, and they're like, yeah, issues in the tissues and the body keeps the score. I'm like, yeah, the issues are there, but so is the wisdom. So is the healing.
It's all the same.
It's a both and. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, we hope this message and download brings you some clarity, and we invite you to start to explore your paradigms of where your beliefs of health come from, and invite you to trust your knowing and step into that salutogenic paradigm. So thanks for tuning in. This is the Project Lioness podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for joining the Project Lioness podcast. Did you find value in today's episode? Help us impact the lives of others by sharing this podcast with someone you know who would resonate and benefit from the Project Lioness message. Excited to hear more? We invite you to subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we'd be so grateful for you to leave us a review about what you enjoy most, as well as what you'd like to hear more of. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely yours in power, purpose, and play. Dr. Mel with the Project Lioness podcast. Keep rising, keep roaring, and keep inspiring.